welcome to my channel, or if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Carla and this is my What I Read in March video. So I listened in March to a couple of audiobooks via YouTube, both of which were, I'm going through a bit of a fad at the moment. I'm listening to Lord Peter Wimsey books written by Dorothy L. Sayers. So this month, the first one I listened to was Murder Must Advertise. This, I think, is quite a long way on in the Lord Peter Wimsey saga, because he's plainly a very well-established detective by now, and people are, although he only does it as a hobby, he doesn't do it as paid employment, so to speak. And people, and you know, he's recognised within the police force and given special dispensation and so on and so forth. So this is not the early days of Lord Peter Wimsey when he was getting in people's way and making a pain in the bum of himself. This one covers a murder at an advertising agency. And Lord Peter Wimsey goes in undercover to try and find out what's happened there. A twist in the tale as usual. There's nearly always a twist in these murder stories, isn't there? And I nearly always don't see them coming. Although I did spot the murderer earlier on. I couldn't work out his motive or why, but I did spot him. So I enjoyed that. Quite a long one. I think it's probably a 6-hour audiobook. So I tend to put them on when I'm listing on eBay or when I'm pottering about in here and listen and just have them on in the background. So yeah, the particular ones I'm listening to on YouTube are usually split into two parts. There's 2 different videos and each one is about 3 hours each. And then the second one I listened to was Strong Poison. Another Lord Peter Wimsey book by Dorothy L. Sayers, and this is the one in which he meets his future wife. Although he doesn't marry her in this book, he falls immediately in love with her. She's in the dock, accused of a crime she didn't commit. He falls immediately in love with her, sets about clearing her name and finding out who did commit the crime, and proposes. He proposes very early on, one of the first times he meets her, and of course she says no because she doesn't know him. She continues to say no, and she's still saying no at the end of the book. But I know from reading other books that eventually they do marry. So this is the one in which he meets her. And he does clear her name. I won't give it away by saying that he clears her name. We know she's innocent. Obviously, he wouldn't have fallen in love with her and wanted to marry if she wasn't innocent, would he? So I won't be giving away anything away if I say that he does clear her name. But yeah, so I've enjoyed both of those. Another one that I have listened to rather than read in the traditional sense of the word is this one. Now, this is Agatha Christie's Poirot. However, it is by Sophie Hannah. I usually avoid reading anything in which a new writer has taken on somebody else's characters, apart from the Miss Seaton ones, where I can't see any difference between the various writers of those. But particularly when you think of someone like Agatha Christie, I wasn't sure whether Sophie Hannah would manage Poirot properly, whether he would be himself as he came out of her pen. She didn't do a bad job. There were a couple of bits and I thought that's been a bit overdone, or I don't think Poirot would have said that or whatever, but generally it was okay. It's quite a long one. There are 10 discs. This is the unabridged version. It's 11 hours listening time, so I don't know how fat the book would have been if I'd found the paper version. It's read by Julian Reintut, who is a very nice narrator indeed. He's got a lovely voice and does quite a nice range of voices as well, so that's good. And again, this one twists and turns back on itself and then turns again. So you think you've got it, and then you're not sure whether you've got it after all, and then you think you've got it again, and then you're still not sure, and in the end you're like, oh, I see. A couple of bits I thought didn't hang together quite as neatly as Agatha Christie would have made them. I thought there's a little bit of wobbly ground there, I suppose, you know, kind of like that part of the plot very much relied on a happenstance, and if that hadn't occurred, then the plot wouldn't have made any sense. But apart from that, it was pretty well done. It's told from the perspective of a police detective who's working with Poirot and who has issues of his own, funnily enough. It says, Hercule Poirot's quiet supper in a London coffee house is interrupted when a young woman confides to him that she is about to be murdered. She is terrified, but begs Poirot not to find and punish her killer. Once she is dead, she insists, justice will have been done. Later that night, Poirot learns that 3 guests at the fashionable Bloxham Hotel have been murdered, and a cufflink has been placed in each one's mouth. Could there be a connection with the frightened woman? While Poirot struggles to put together the bizarre pieces of the puzzle, the murderer prepares another hotel bedroom for a 4th victim. In the hands of international best-selling author Sophie Hannah, Poirot plunges into a mystery set in 1920s London, a diabolically clever puzzle that can only be solved by the talented Belgian detective and his little grey cells. It's worth listening to. It was okay. It was good. In fact, it was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't quite get the ending right, so that's always nice when I don't quite get them right. Definitely recommend it. And I don't know if Sophie Hannah has done anything else using Poirot or any of other Agatha Christie characters, but I would definitely look out for them and find out. 2 more, and I think these are the final 2 now. 2 more Arthur Ransoms. Cooped Club and Great Northern. And I think I've now read my way through the whole lot on the shelf now, so that's not bad going. That's been about 4 months, I think, at a rate of about 1 or 2 a month. So, Cooped Club. Cooped Club features Dorothea and Dick Callum. There are no swallows or Amazons in this one, despite the fact that it is in the Swallows and Amazon series. And we follow them to the Norfolk Broads, where they make friends and try to stay out of trouble, not necessarily very successfully. And Great Northern sees the whole lot reunited. We've got the Swallows, John, Susan, Titty and Roger. We've got the Amazons, Nancy and Peggy, and we've got the D's, Dick and Dorothea Callum, and we've got Captain Flint. The whole gang's here in this one, and they have gone on a cruise around Scotland. Not a cruise, but they've gone yachting around Scotland with Captain Flint at the helm, and Dick discovers some birds nesting near a loch on a Scottish island who are not known to nest in the British Isles, and they end up having to try and protect them from a dastardly egg collector. So definitely worth a read, that one as well. That's my last 2 of my ransoms, so I've done those. I'll probably do them again in a few years' time. I'll probably almost certainly revisit them again in my lifetime. I read a couple more of my British Library crime classics. I've read quite a lot this month, actually, but then I've been home more. We've all been home more. I read Fell Murder. This one is by E.C.R. Lorak. Now that's a female writer. I think her name was Carol something. Edith Caroline Rivet, who also wrote as Carol Carnac. So there we go. This is a lady detective writer, a lady murder mystery writer. And excuse the banging, by the way, neighbours are doing DIY. Everybody's neighbours are doing DIY, aren't they? So this is, the Garths had farmed their fertile acres for generations, and fine land it was, with the towering hills of the Lake Country on the far horizon. Here, hot-tempered Robert Garth, still hale and hearty at 82, ruled Garthmere Hall with a rod of iron. Until, that is, old Garth was found dead as mutton, in the trampled mud of the ancient outhouse. Glowering clouds gather over the dramatic dales and fells as seasoned investigator Chief Inspector MacDonald arrives in the North Country. Awaiting him are the reticent Garths and their guarded neighbours of the Lone Valley, and a battle of wits to unearth their murderous secrets. I spotted the murderer really early. I'm not giving you any spoilers. I'm not saying who it was, but I spotted them really early. It was a really simple little clue that might get past you. I spotted it. Really, really pleased with myself. Quite chuffed. Just had to wait for it to unfold and find out how and why. But I spotted him really, really early on. Clever me. Also read Bats in the Belfry. Same author, E.C.R. Lorak. It says Bruce Attleton dazzled London's literary scene with his first 2 novels, but his early promise did not bear fruit. His wife Sibylla is a glittering actress, unforgiving of Bruce's failure, and the couple lead separate lives in their house at Regent's Park. When Bruce is called away on a sudden trip to Paris, he vanishes completely until his suitcase and passport are found in a sinister artist studio, the Belfry, in a crumbling house in Notting Hill. Inspector MacDonald, here he is again, must uncover Bruce's secrets and find out the identity of his mysterious blackmailer. Again, spotted the murderer early on. Couldn't work out the motive. Now, I wonder if that's a key thing with E.C.R. Lorak, that she lets you spot the murderer, but you don't quite understand why, because that's both of those. It's not been quite clear why. But yeah, spotted the murderer very early on. Couldn't work out the motive, and enjoyed watching him or her slip up. Enjoyed that. So definitely worth a read. For something completely different, as they say on Monty Python. I read Are We Nearly There Yet? A Family's 8,000-Mile Journey by Ben Hatch. Ben Hatch and his wife Dinah. This is a true story. It's a genuine true story of their adventure. They decided during a bit of a downturn in each of their careers, that they were given the opportunity to write a travel guidebook, or rather they pitched for the opportunity to write a travel guidebook. So they packed 2 under 5s into their car along with a 5-month supply of life, and went off around Britain visiting every possible attraction and writing a guidebook about them. 2 under 5s for 5 months in a car. You can imagine how that went, can't you? It's a very entertaining book. However, there's a kind of 2 sides to this book, because whilst Ben Hatch was driving around doing his guidebook with his wife and children in the car, his father was sadly dying of cancer. And so there are bits where he goes back to try and visit his father and goes back to see his father. And there's some incredibly poignant bits and some bits where I genuinely cried. There's some bits where I laughed out loud as well. So definitely worth a read. I believe he's written a couple of other books, and I would read those too. I think I might go and find those. But yeah, definitely worth a look at that one. Again, I will link that one below. Something back to murder mysteries. I read Death in Ecstasy by Nio Marsh. This is an Inspector Alain mystery. Who slipped cyanide into the ceremonial wine of ecstasy at the House of the Sacred Flame? The other initiates and the high priest claim to be above earthly passions, but Roderick Alain discovers that the victim had provoked lust and jealousy, and he suspects that more evil still lurks beneath the sign of the Sacred Flame. I enjoyed it. I always enjoy a Nio Marsh Alain mystery. I think I've read 4 or 5 of them now. This is a triple book. There are 3 in here. So we've got Death in Ecstasy, Vintage Murder, which I've just started, and Artist in Crime, which I have read in the past. I think these are really good value. These are available on Amazon, and the entire Inspector Alain series has been released in these triple books. So really nice way to add to your collection, although it is a bit of a weight if you're reading it in bed, because it's a bit of a chunky old book there. Death in Ecstasy I enjoyed. I did not spot the murder in this one. I did, and yet I don't know why. Because when they were unmasked, I was like, oh, I should have seen that. Should have seen that and didn't. So there we go. That one surprised me. Okay, that was worth a look. And then finally, again, Monty Python. Now for something completely different. I read Mrs. Hinch. Now you may think, why would she bother reading that? It's not my usual stuff. It's Mrs. Hinch, Hinch Yourself Happy. All the best cleaning tips to shine your sink and soothe your soul. Not massively excited about shining my sink, and I don't think my soul needs much soothing. And if it does need soothing, I'm not convinced that it will be soothed by cleaning my house. I follow Mrs. Hinch on Instagram. Again, not for cleaning tips, but purely because the woman is a hecking delight. She is just so damn nice. And she's got a nice husband, and she's just drinking joy throughout her life. That makes it. She's just finding joy through small things. She if making your sink shine makes you really happy, then damn it, woman, shine your sink. Do what makes you happy. And that's her philosophy. Do what makes you happy. Be nice to each other. Be kind to each other. Stay safe. Stay home. Keep each other well. All the rest of it. If you don't follow Mrs. Hinch on Instagram, I recommend it for the sheer happiness of the woman. She's trying really hard. I mean, the woman, she's been trolled horrendously. People have said horrific things about her baby, all sorts of weird stuff going on, and she has difficult times like the rest of us. But she finds joy in the simple things, and she loves her home, and she loves making her home look attractive and feeling safe there. So this book combines cleaning tips, which I very much skim read because I don't particularly get any joy from cleaning, and favourite products, with her brief autobiography. It doesn't go into huge depths, but there is stuff that you wouldn't have known. There's stuff that you might not have realised about her. That, for example, that she had a weight loss surgery that she very much regretted because it had made her very unwell. All sorts of stuff. She's a lovely woman, and I would recommend this just for the sheer lovely womanness of the woman. So there we go. I've read quite a lot in March, and I should imagine April's going to be very similar because, like I said, we've all got a bit more time on our hands. So I think I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books I've read in the traditional way, and 3 audiobooks that I've listened to. So that's not a bad little selection, is it really? That's kept me busy all month. You might not be a reader. You might be watching this going, I don't know why I'm watching this woman blethering on about what she's read. I read because it takes me into a different world, and right now that's a joyous thing to go somewhere else, to go away and forget about all of this, however briefly. That's a joyous thing. That's, if you don't think you enjoy reading, you may just have not picked up the right book yet, so maybe give another go. I'm not here to tell you what to do. You do you. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this, hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you ring the notifications bell so that you get told when I upload. I upload a weekly vlog and 2 other videos, usually, most weeks. And then I'm also going live twice a week at the moment as well, on a Sunday morning and on a Wednesday evening. So a Sunday morning is my live stream that I've done for, forever and a day, when I just chat to people. And I used to talk about what I bought at car boot sales. However, funnily enough, not been buying so much at car boot sales recently on account of not being allowed out of the house. Anyway, we just have a chat. On a Wednesday evening, I do Mastery Seller, where I have a guest and the chat have to guess who it is. So feel free to come along and join us for those. I think that's it. I think I've said it all. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.